We're going to continue on here with this assembly portion of the model. We've put the seat slats onto the side rails here on the top, and what we're going to do now is work on these back pieces and put those onto the back braces. So we've got part B, C, and part E. So I'm going to turn off, I'll make part B active so it doesn't turn off, and we'll just probably the easiest thing, just come over here, shoot, make B active, there we go. And I'll just right click and say all off, and we'll turn on part C, and we'll turn on part E. Sure, there it is. Get the photo up there so we can see that too, because we've got some dimensions here we have to deal with. Part B is set in the back of this, and this bottom part actually has about a 83-degree angle on it that we're going to need to lock that in. Even though it didn't have an angle on the top view up here, we'll have to kind of figure how to make that work. So we're going to rotate this to a isometric, and we're going to flip this back up 90 degrees. Use our rotate tool. We'll set this to 2 points. I'll just grab this by the edge and hit S for side, and we'll flip it up so it's in this direction. And it might be just as easy for us to flip up this illustration now. So we're going to do the same thing, and we'll just flip that straight up in the air. So when we look at this in a front view now, we can see the pieces. Deselect it. We're going to take our move tool, and I want to move this one up. Oops, the wrong one. And we'll move this one down. So let's take this whole thing and we'll move it so that the bottom of this goes straight up, and I'll line it up with this line right here. So it's roughly the same. We know that this bottom piece, make sure I got the right one, part B, that's part C. I got them upside down. I'll just move this one down. So we know that this piece is going to be centered. So I'm going to move it to the left, hit enter, and find the center point of our slat. So now that's going to be centered on the chair back. We'll move it all the way down to the bottom, and then we'll move it up a distance of 1.75. Now the other one, there's a space of 21¼ inches between those two. So I'm going to find the center point of that, pull it to the left, hit enter, find the center point here. So now that one's centered. Why does that not look right? I think I got them upside down. That's part B. That's part C. Just because it's got the wings out there, I guess. Yes. So I'm going to move this one, grab it by the center point, pull it down, hit enter, and now we'll grab it here and pull it straight up, 21.25. Okay. Now, this part gets a little trickier. We're going to go to a top view, and we're going to pull this one forward. I'm going to hit the enter key so it locks the axis. We'll line up these arcs. We're going to grab both of these now, and we're going to, whoops, select them, move, find the center point, pull it straight ahead. We're going to come right into this point. So now we can see how this is going to fit on here. I'm going to pull this ahead so these edges, this corner here needs to come out on the face of it. So we're going to just take this, pull it straight ahead, hit enter, and I'll spacebar N and just have it find that piece. Because it'll have a little bow to it. Now we'll deselect this. I want to take this one and we're going to rotate that using 3 points in this top view. This being first point. I'm going to hit the enter key so it locks my axis. That keeps me from going into a, and I'm just going to hit spacebar N, and I want to go to the green, which is right here. And I'll shoot. One of the things we can do to avoid what's happening is trying to twist into a different Z depth. We can click this ACS plane snap, which locks us into a Z axis so it doesn't do that little flip to us. So it keeps everything straight. Just remember to take it out when you're done. Select the next slat. We're going to just pull this one forward. Spacebar N. Now pull it right. Can't remember which one's A. Right to the green, I guess. And now we'll do a rotate, axis, spacebar N, we'll lay it right there on that green. Same thing with this one, pull it forward, spacebar N, we're going to roll this one. Three points. And we pull this up now. Something got messed, but that's alright. I'll just grab these and pull them back down. I think it was that Z depth thing kind of through. And it was up 1.75. Got it isometric, so we can see now if I look at this as an illustration and rotate it around, we've got our chair slats into the pieces. Now let's roll it to a right side view, and it said that this piece, I'm going to go back to front and see what the angle of that was. It says 83 degrees from this point to this point. So we'll go back and go to our right side view again. Hit rotate, active angle, 83. It's probably not going to be right. Actually, the easiest way to do this would be do a line from this point. Whoops. Oh. Why that's doing that. Now we'll just draw it. It's going to be 83. I got to get that angle, so I'm just going to straight up, rotate, and select that piece. Sorry. Yeah. Getting there. That's the angle I'm looking for right there. So if I just take this over, place it right there. And we're going to roll that up using a 3-point rotation now. From this point, we're going to select it, rotate by 3 points, this point to this point to this point. There. Sorry that took so long. I had to make sure I got the angle out there. So again, if we look at this in isometric now, everything is still in pretty good shape. Some of our things are buried a little bit down here, but it really doesn't matter too much. I got some of these buried into the wood. A little bit should be turned out, but I think for the overall model it's probably fine. So now we'll roll this to an isometric again. We're going to rotate this so it's facing the same way as my chair. So in a top view, I just want to pirouette this. I'll use 2-point rotation. I just want to turn this. I'll hit T for top and just rotate this 90 degrees. Roll it to a top view. Now what we want to do is take these 3 slats on the top and we're going to mirror those to the bottom. We'll just use this as a center point. So now we've got, we look at this whole thing, we've got the whole back on our piece. So now let's turn on our seat and our slats. Seat and slats are, let's turn on all the levels now. Just go over here, level display, just right click and say all on. Okay. So, probably the easiest thing, we've got this front leg on the chair, part F, which is this little white leg right over here. We'll just move that over into place. I'm going to rotate this vertically. We'll just use 2 points. Hit S for side. We'll just rotate it up vertically. We're going to take it over. We're going to push it right up against the side of this chair. Whoops. You know what, I got to make sure I turn off this ACS plane snap. Otherwise it's going to mess us all up. We'll rotate it to a front view. So first thing we want to do is pull this down so it's even on the bottom. We don't want to scale it, we're going to move it, sorry. If we look at our drawing, we'll see that the distance is 19.5 inches plus 3.5. So we could actually put the back leg on first, which goes on the inside, and that's 3.5 inches from the back leg. We'll go isometric again. There's that back leg. We'll stand that up. S. Just stand it straight up. I'm going to change this to wireframe so I can see the back side of it. It also helps snapping when you have it in wireframe mode. So I want this piece to be right onto this piece. And we'll rotate it to a front view. Now remember, this goes on the outside of the leg, the white piece. The green piece actually goes on the inside of the leg. Found that out the hard way. And have it facing the right direction. Yep. And we said it's 3.5 inches from here to the front edge of that, so I'll just 3.5 and we'll move it to that location. I hit the enter key so it locks the axis. I'm going to move this back, enter to this point, and then move it forward. I think we said 19.5. Yes. So that's in the right location. Now what we'll do is take our back, select the whole back piece. We're going to move that so that this piece right here goes right to that point. a little bit of an overlap there, but that's okay. 1/4 inch overhang, even written on it. So we're going to move this over 0.25. That's our overhang. And then we're going to do a 3-point rotation from this point. And actually, let's turn that ACS plane snap on again. Level, and we're going to rotate it up. It looks like this. And you notice this fits pretty close to where it should be, right here on the leg. Matter of fact, I'll leave it just like that. Roll it to a top view. Now we're going to make sure this is centered, so I'm just going to take my move tool, grab this by a center point, pull it straight down, hit the enter key, lock it to the center. So you can see everything's lining up. We're going to take this piece and this piece, which are our legs, and we'll mirror those to the other side on a horizontal axis. Alright, so we're starting to look like a chair here. Next thing we've got is our arm. And if we look at our drawing in our front view, the arm fits on the outside, lines up with the back. Pretty straightforward. So we'll just take our top view so we can see the arm. We're going to pull this right over. So this is an arm for the other side. And I want to pull this in so it's right up against right on this corner. Let's take a look at our drawing one more time. I just want to see if there's a... Doesn't really say too much, so it's more or less kind of an eyeball picture of how that's going to fit. You can see the screws go in from the back side to hold this arm in place, so that'll work okay. Maybe I'll just move this forward. Right to that edge. And we'll roll it to a front view, and we'll bring it up to height. Just grab the bottom of it, pull it straight up, hit enter, and oops, right to there. With isometric, I'm going to grab this piece now. We'll flip that up in the air, just our rotate. We can say 2 points. Just make it a little quicker. S, fold it straight up, and then T, we're going to rotate it this way. Now we can just grab it by the center point. I'm going to go down here, make sure this is unchecked now. Anytime you draw an isometric, you don't want that on. And we're just going to place this right in this corner. We'll select the arm with it, go to top view, and we'll mirror that to both pieces to the other side. It should line right up with that piece of wood in the back. So we look at this now in an isometric view, and we give it an illustration. There we have our chair, and it's a good time to just take it and kind of turn it around, see if everything looks okay. And the last thing we would do with this now is we'll get rid of this paper because we have it on the other sheet anyway. I'm going to select the whole thing. Let's just change the color to something, and we'll go with a white Adirondack. And that way it looks a little more realistic. We'll give it a little perspective with this perspective tool. So what I want is a sheet that's going to show this chair. So let's just say this is what I want to see on my cover sheet. We'll say Utilities, saved views. We're going to go to these two little hands, create a saved view. We're going to call it perspective. And left click on the screen. Now if we go down to our title block sheet, which is still here, what I want to do is create several title block sheets. So we're just going to make a copy of this, and this first one is going to be cover sheet, and then we'll make a copy of that and we'll call it detail sheet 1. I think we'll need one more of detail sheet 2. Okay, we'll start with the cover sheet, and we're going to apply that saved view. So I'm just going to go to my reference file. We're going to say attach, and I put this in my hard drive somewhere under my documents, I think. There it is. We want our assembly model. And if we pull this down now, you'll actually see something that says saved views. So I hit the plus sign, there's my perspective. Click on that. I want to bring it in at, let's do 1 inch equals a foot. It's probably going to be too, no, it's not bad. Move it down in the center. You notice it comes in with the illustration mode. I'll probably change that so it prints out better to just hidden line. There we go. Ooh, problem is hidden line is white, so let's go back to our assembled model. I'm going to select this whole thing, and let's change that color to our color green. And then when we go back to our cover sheet, there we have it. That'll pick up our pen tables too. So this is going to be our illustration. If we go to our notes, place note, and I'm going to use 07 CJ, or 07 left justified, and dimension style, we'll go with architectural 2, I believe. And we're going to say part A. Part A was this. And then actually let's say part A 2, and I'll put in parentheses 2 typical. Type. There we go. So it gives us to identify the parts, and so I'm going to need my drawing for this. But anyway, you get the idea. We're going to identify all the parts on this by letter, so that when we get to our next sheets, we'll be able to identify each part separately. We're going to rename this one. Will be Project 9. And we'll give it a title down here at the bottom. This will be Adirondack Chair Perspective. 0 degrees. And we'll change this to 7 center justified, and we're just going to say not to scale. And then we can edit this text over here for scale. Whoops. And TS, not to scale. Change the date. We'll call it, yeah, we'll leave it A1. When we get to the next sheet, it'll be A2 and then A3. So the details of each of these parts will show up on our next sheets, and we'll do that on a separate video. But this is how we're going to get our cover sheet. We've got our model all together. We've got our parts model over here so that we can start identifying these on sheet files, and we'll show you how to do that in the next video, which will be something we'll finish up probably Wednesday and then turn it in as a multi-part, probably a 3-sheet setup, and I'll probably grade each one as a separate homework. So that we'll do the assembly part, we'll do the parts in the next session.